Local First starts now.
Good evening, I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm Lauren McCoy. The Tangipahoa Water District votes to move forward with an investigation into the cause of an underground well implosion. It believes could be tied to recent carbon capture work being done in Lake Maurepas.
Ultimately, the district says it wants to recoup the more than $600,000 it will cost to make repairs at the well. David Jones has more.
Back in late April, early May, the Water District said it discovered what it called a blowout in the Dutch Lane water well, causing the concrete wall and steel casing to implode inward, something it says happened due to outside causes. And the board points to explosive testing being conducted by the company Air Products in Lake Maurepas. Environmental groups, local officials, and concerned Tangipahoa residents are among the opposition to, quote, carbon capture taking place in Lake Maurepas. The controversial practice involves the underground storage of CO2 rather than letting it into the air. Governor John Bel Edwards and industry groups have backed carbon capture as a way to bring significant private investment into the area. Air Products, though, says there's no correlation between its actions and the water well implosion, but the Water District contests that, pointing to reports from experts hired by Air Products, which it says did not take into account all of the explosive testing being done closest to Dutch Lane well. Board members for the Water District say the Dutch Lane well has been experiencing issues since Air Products began its testing in January, and they didn't go so far as to cast blame on Air Products specifically, but they did vote on a resolution to hire outside counsel to investigate the cause.
We have received reports from them. I've read those reports, and I find their reasoning to be ludicrous, in my opinion. I'm not an expert. We're going to go outside and get some experts on the litigation and as well as the expert field to determine whether or not the activities in Lake Maurepas or somewhere else maybe even had something to do with the failure, because $600,000 is a lot of money for a water system.
Don Marshall with the Tangipahoa Water District says he believes the Air Products testing, which is currently ongoing, has the potential to impact drinking water in the North Shore and Lake Maurepas region. Repairs to Dutch Lane will cost the district around $600,000, which they hope to be able to recoup. The board members say if the investigation shows Air Products is not directly responsible, the company should work with them to determine the true cause. Reached for a statement tonight, an Air Products spokesperson said in part, quote, separate investigations by both a geophysicist and a hydrologist came to the same conclusion, that Air Products seismic survey did not cause the damage to the Dutch Lane well, which is nearly 10 miles from the survey site and more than 1,700 feet underground. Air Products contractors only conducted small controlled detonations 60 feet below ground as part of its seismic survey. The statement went on to quote a geophysicist and a hydrologist, both hired by Air Products, who say published reports and data from Air Products contractors shows explosions from testing on Lake Maurepas would not have been detectable at the well, and blames corrosion on the casing of the well for the failure.